Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, within a 10-day span, three black churches were burned to the ground in southern Louisiana. And on Wednesday, authorities arrested a suspect. His name is Holden Matthews. And the thing that's crazy about this is he's the son of a parish sheriff's deputy. So his father is in law enforcement, and yet he's the one that's burned down these churches, according to the authorities. Now, they captured video evidence. There was video surveillance done, and they were eventually able to track this guy down. He has been arrested and charged with 3 arson counts. This is crazy. This whole situation is crazy. And right now, as far as I know, there hasn't been like a real motive that's been put forth. They haven't really gone into detail about like what motivated this guy. I saw one article where it talked about how he was influenced by black metal. And that's a rock and roll that's associated with paganism and Satanism. And, church burning is a part of what that's about. But that's one theory that's being put out here based on his social media posts. They're saying that he's into black metal and all this and that. But I really want to learn more information as there are more developments to this situation. I will be discussing those. This is a very important situation. We know about the history involving the black church. We know that the black church, regardless of what critics have to say, the black church is one of the strongest institutions in our community, and is one of the institutions that was targeted by white supremacists, not only in the past, but even in present day. During the Reconstruction era, black churches were targeted, burned to the ground. During the Civil Rights Movement, black churches were targeted. We saw what happened in Birmingham, where that church was blown apart and 4 black girls were killed by white supremacists. This problem is something that's pervasive. And then we saw in recent history where you had that white supremacist, Dylan Roof, run up in a black church, pretending to be a worshiper. And while the people were praying, this man preyed upon them, shooting them and killing them, killing 9 people. This is what has happened, man. This is the history in this country where they have targeted the black church. And regardless of what the critics have said, as I said before, the black church is one of the strongest institutions in our community. It was stronger in the past than it is today, but it is an institution that represents black people. And we should defend that institution. Now, this whole situation brings to mind another issue, and that's this. The federal government has de-emphasized the need to address white nationalists, white supremacists, white terrorism. In fact, you have a president that basically said, well, I'm going to divert resources away from investigating these white supremacist groups, and I'm going to focus primarily on foreign-based terrorists, Muslim extremists, etc. And because of that, you have situations like this that are allowed to happen. Situations like this, and then you also have a climate that this president has helped to create, a climate of animosity, a climate of hatred that is just bubbling up to the surface. No longer are people putting their mask on and pretending to care about black people or pretending not to be racist. People are upfront with their racism because you have a president that has given the green light for this stuff, basically. He has called white supremacists fine people. This man has pandered to white supremacists. And this is what we're seeing as a result of this. This is what we're seeing. This is the end result. So, this thing should open American people's eyes. I mean, how many more of these terrorist attacks have to occur? And as I was saying in my video response to Candace Owens, you had this woman, this black mammy running around here trying to downplay the significance of this white supremacist movement that's taking place in this country, trying to suggest that this is just, something used to manipulate people into voting a certain way and all this and that. When the fact of the matter is, white supremacy has always been in this country, and under this current administration, it is even flourishing more. It is having, new life put into it. It's being energized by this rhetoric that we see coming from the White House and stuff. So you had a situation where this guy burned down these churches, man. And it's like, how in the hell can somebody like a Candace Owens basically try to suggest that white supremacy is not a real problem? How can somebody like that downplay this issue when you have all these examples? Not only this church burning, you have Dylan Roof killing those 9 people. You had that guy that shot people at while they were in the parking lot at a Kroger's grocery store. You had a situation where that guy who was in the military was captured and arrested for plotting to stage a massive race attack. So you have all these examples of white nationalism. And then also you have reports that basically document the fact that the white nationalists, the white supremacists is a greater threat than any of these other terrorist groups, a greater threat than, to the people in the United States than these Muslim extremists, a greater threat than that. But yet the government has de-emphasized the need to address these problems. And in light of that failure to act, the blood is on the United States government's hands. It's on Donald Trump's hands. The ashes from these fires that took place in Louisiana are on Donald Trump's hands because he de-emphasized the need to address these kind of things. Also, I have to address this. It's like, I think that a lot of times our priorities are messed up here on YouTube. People are running around here concerned about Pookie and Ray Ray, more concerned about that than they are concerned about things like this, where you have black institutions being destroyed by white supremacists. And there's no doubt in my mind that race was a factor here. Here that this person who was arrested is a white man. All the churches that he targeted were black churches. If it was just some, random act against the church or, just on some anti-Christian type of thing, then he would have targeted different types of churches, not just black churches and all that kind of stuff. So it's clear that race is probably a motivation behind these attacks. And we should not just view this as an attack on black Christians. This is an attack on black people, period. So before I close, I'm just going to see what you all are saying in the chat. I truly appreciate you all tuning in. Shout out to Fredro. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Fredro said, but some black folks will forgive him. And you probably will have people like that. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people are bought into that type of slave mentality, man, that passive mentality where they forgive the enemy and they love the enemy and all that kind of stuff. And you saw that when Dylan Roof shot up that church, shot all those people. You had the families forgiving him, praying for him. And the situation involving Walter Scott when that brother was gunned down, shot in his back while fleeing a police officer, completely unarmed. The shooting was unjustified, and that pig shot that brother in the back multiple times, killing him. After that incident, you had the family members praying for the damn killer, forgiving the killer. To hell with that. We need to get out of that kind of slave logic, that's that passive, weak mentality. And, unfortunately, too many of our people still have that mentality when we need to have a warrior mindset, man. We need to deal with these people the way they deal with us. We need to be prepared to defend ourselves, man. These houses of worship need to defend themselves. They need to prepare to protect themselves. They need to have security, armed security to protect their institutions, man. To hell with all that forgiveness and, trusting and, loving everybody and all that kind of stuff. That kind of trust and love is what led to that guy, Dylan Roof, being able to go into that church without being asked any questions, without being searched, or without being going through any kind of security protocols. That kind of mentality led to that man, that damn devil, going into the church killing people. Shout out to Frankie Robinson. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Shout out to New Wave Comedy. Shout out to Delana or Delina. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Yeah, Candace Owens does hate her race. I mean, she won't say that. She'll pretend like what she's doing is to the benefit of the black race. But anytime you have a woman that constantly attacks black people, but constantly provides cover for white racism, you have to say that person has self-hate issues, man. Here you have a woman downplaying white nationalism, basically trying to suggest that it wasn't even a real issue, and then bringing up all these issues in the black community as if black people are our primary problem. Bringing up the issue of single-parent households, which is important, bringing up the issue of abortion. That's an important issue, but that's not the issue. She was brought before Congress to talk about white nationalism and white terrorism and all that kind of stuff, and she wanted to divert to the discussion to talk about what black people are doing wrong. That's the slave mentality, defending the master, loving the master. Loving the master, as Brother Malcolm said, more than the master loves himself, more than he loves his own self. When the master's sick, talking about, is we sick, boss? That kind of mentality. That's the Candace Owens mentality. And I'm not going to go into it in much more detail here. For those of you who have not seen my video on my I Declare War channel, I encourage you to see it. I will post a link in the description box when I get a chance to. I'm on travel right now. So once I get a free moment, I'll put that link in the description box and everything so that you all can check out my video talking about her. But it's just crazy that you would have a delusional woman like that denying this white supremacist problem when you have situations like this happening. 3 black churches burned to the ground. There's a reason why the black church is targeted, man. And, despite all this stuff that these people have to say about the black church is doing way more for the community than a lot of these so-called conscious community folks ever have done for the community. And you could tell them I said that. These people that rail against religion and this and that, they don't have anything real to offer the people. They don't have anything at all to offer the people. But anyway, let me see what the people are saying in the chat before I close out. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Good morning to Blessed One. Good morning to MMA Fan 3. What's up with you? What's going on with you? Shout out to Ryan James. Yeah, I saw her grandfather there at the hearing. I didn't really focus on his expressions or anything like that. But she basically used her grandfather as a prop. She was basically saying, well, her grandfather went through real Jim Crow and real racism and stuff like that, basically suggesting that there is no real racism today. There is no Jim Crow today. And of course, racism is not the same as it was back then. There has been progress in this society, but we can't pretend like racism is not real when we have all these constant reminders of just how real racism is. And I won't go into detail about that right now. Instead, I'll encourage you all to check out the video response that I did to Candace Owens. Again, I'll post a link in the description box when I get a chance to. Yeah, so she just used him as a prop, and it's just a shame, man. It's just a shame that, and I was wondering, I know this sister by the name of Kristen Clark, who is the head of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Um, I used to, we worked together on a project years ago or whatever. But I wonder what she was thinking as she sat next to Candace Owens and heard Candace Owens just spouting this absolute nonsense. I mean, I'm surprised that the sister who was, Christian Clark was able to maintain her composure as she was listening to this nonsense coming from Candace Owens' mouth. But anyway, I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Support this channel. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content. Also, if you have ideas for or topics that you want me to talk about, you can email me at newpossibilitiesblog@yahoo.com. Again, that's newpossibilitiesblog@yahoo.com. So email me there with your suggestions for topics. Also, I want to let you know that on Sunday, I will be doing an open panel. I'm going to open it up, let people join the discussion, and we're just going to have a free-flowing type of discussion, an open mic type of discussion about a wide range of issues. If y'all want to talk about that Pookie and Ray Ray stuff, we can talk about that. If you want to talk about politics, we can talk about that. If you want to talk about just about anything, or if you have questions for me, we can talk about those as well. And any of those ADOS people that want to come and holler at your man, debate me, you're free to come as well. So I'll be posting that link. Hopefully I'll be able to, if you let me know that you're interested in participating, I'll just email the link to you. That way I won't have to deal with any trolls popping up on the live stream and trying to shut it down. So with that, peace to each and every one of you. Have a blessed day.